What's up, guys, and welcome back to Learn to Play. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Zerg versus Zerg. I was going over in my mind whether or not I wanted just PvZ, ZvP, ZvT, the non-mirror matchups, but I think mirror matchups are really important. There's 6 different matchups and we need to cover all of them. Cutting out half of them wouldn't be too good, would it? Of course, this will only be really affecting Zergs that are watching, but if you Terrans and Protoss want to stick around and really get to see how the mirror matchups work, you guys definitely should. Let's go ahead and jump into game right now, as I've already got started. It's 2 really fantastic Zerg players. I'll introduce them in game. In the top right hand corner, it is Soulkey as our blue Zerg against this little handsome devil. It is the red Zerg, Leenock. Now, ZvZs these days have are, I would say, really well defined. I think the days of it being rock, paper, scissors are over, and it's because of one build. It's the 14 pool, 15 hatch. 14 pool, 15 hatch is so freaking good. It defends against basically everything. The way that you beat this, or get ahead, quote unquote, is going to be getting a 15 hatch. Right? You just get your own economy for yourself. 14's pool defends against all 10-10 baneling attacks, any metabolic boost timings. It really doesn't have any weaknesses. Now, a couple of prerequisites are going to be it has to be a regular map, the ramp has to be close and stuff like that. So maps like Secret Springs, I would definitely say, is that even bad though? I don't even think Secret Springs is that bad. I don't know what a bad map would really be for Zerg versus Zerg. Maybe Deadwing, but not really. It's hard. I'm looking at the distance between the main and this ramp, or the natural and the ramp and stuff like that. I would say the wider the distance of this and this is, the worse it is to open really fast hatcheries. But 14 pool, 15 hatch defends against everything. Then you get your standard 3-minute extractor. You can go really quickly on this extractor. So you can do a 14 pool, 13 evolution chamber, and then 14 hatchery. And what you're going to do is you're going to merge the ranges. And what I mean by that is when a Zerg sees this and sees the hatchery, if you go 14 pool, 13 gas, 14 hatchery, you're going to be able to make it look like you're doing a 14 pool, 15 gas, but really you're getting a super fast timing with the metabolic boost. You'll finish it around 5:30 to 5:40, when ordinarily Zergs are going to be finishing around 6 minutes to 6:20. It's that 20-30 second timing, all you need to get the better surround against your opponent's Zerglings and just flood them with a lot of Zerglings. A lot of times that doesn't work though, because they're able to defend against it. They have the queens there to be able to defend with them. So it's a lot of times against people that are overly greedy. I think someone that's really good to do that to would be Idra. I can't think of any other Zergs that it's really good against. There's super greedy Zergs that want to get too many drones in the early game stage. That's something that you can do. But it looks like that's not going to happen for either of these players. Just a little bit of gas separating both of them, so it's not that big of a deal. So now we get on to a couple of different stages. It's where you're going to use your gas directly after this. Normally the next 50 gas is going to be allocated towards baneling nests. Right? Baneling nests are really important, obviously, because you deal with the mass Zerglings very efficiently at the cost of only 25 gas. You can't go, mass Zerglings. That's going to be suicide. You can't do something like that. I want to talk about the early Zerglings in the beginning stage and how really doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to be getting the 2 Zerglings. A lot of times, you see 2 Zerglings from both these players, but a lot of times I don't think that you need to go these 2 Zerglings unless you're going to suicide them in. You already know what build they're doing. They're going a 14 hatch, and then all the ranges of metabolic boosts are going to be merged. What I mean by that, as I said, it could be anywhere from a 5-minute 30-second metabolic boost to a 6-minute 30-second metabolic boost. And I think defending against that range just with earlier Zerglings is fine, especially if you're not going to sack your initial 2 Zerglings. So right now, Leenock, let's find out what he does actually. But we know for sure that Soulkey didn't. So he just wasted his Zerglings where it could have been a potential drone there. I think it's really unnecessary. And there's the sack in. Purpose of this is to see exactly where the gas is being allocated. Are you actually additionally mining gas? I think it's really bad not to mine gas here. because it just says like, okay, you have no options to ever go into lair, spire tech, roaches. Any timing pushes are completely over. So always get the gas. Even if you're not planning on use it, get the gas. It's really freaking important to do that. We're looking for a baneling nest in this spot, or a roach warren, or anything to tip me off, or tip Leenock off that something's amiss. But it looks like it's just drones from here on out. And you can see Soulkey is at a slight disadvantage in the fact that he has to protect against a wider range, although he could just assume that it's not coming. Right now is the time where you would make Zerglings if you think there's some sort of huge Zergling attack coming. So we're going to see Soulkey, technically, if he's playing super safe, should be making a lot of Zerglings right now. Somewhere around, I would say, 8 to 10 Zerglings at this current juncture. We're going to find out how defensive or how greedy Soulkey wants to be based on all of his reads. It looks like he's making a very, very small amount. Okay, so we have chosen lair tech so far for Soulkey. This is pretty standard, I would say, getting your lair out this fast. Leenock's not choosing to get his lair all super fast. Are we seeing any merge banelings? No, we're not, because banelings aren't out yet. Second gas going down right here. I think... So what you normally do is you get your second gas and your lair down at the same time. And what that'll do is allow you to have 200 gas, exactly 200 gas, by the time this lair pops up. It takes 80 seconds, so just think off of one of these, 80 seconds, times that by 2, it's 160 gas. So you need 40 more gas somewhere. And that 40 gas is going to come from this extra one, which you'll be mining for about 40 more seconds, so it'll give you an extra 80 gas there. So you'll have a total of 240 gas, and then you're prepping for the Muta switch too. So we'll see if a second gas is actually going down here. No, it's not. Very, very surprising. Okay, this can be coupled with a couple of things. You can go triple gas as well at when your lair is like halfway done. You can go all 3 of the gases at the same time, and you have to wait a little bit, but you'll barely have enough gas to eke out the spire. Let's see what Leenock is doing and why he hasn't gone to lair. A lot of times people will just float a little bit of gas here to defend against any potential Zergling, Baneling all-ins. And you can get the second gas plus like an evolution chamber plus a roach warren, something like that, to be able to put on pressure, either +1 missiles, get +1 melee, even get carapace, stuff like that. We haven't really seen anything but from Leenock. Don't think that Leenock has the worst build because of this. It's the more defensive build right now. He is floating gas. He's trying to spend as much of his larva as possible, as quick as possible. And you can see a lot of Zerglings popping out of here pretty fast. This is a pretty key Zergling that comes in here for Soulkey. The fact that you don't see a lair right now, and also limited gases, only 2 gases here, no roach warren, allows me to say, okay, I am not going to take my third super fast. I have to watch out. My opponent is very polarized. So Soulkey is saying to himself, because you don't have tech, because you don't have any future proofing like roaches or mutas, I know it's either you're taking your expansion really fast and putting on pressure, or you're just putting on pressure. So I think in this spot, and by the way, Soulkey is taking triple gas right now at the half layer mark. Wow, it's like I planned it. It's like I planned it. Didn't watch this before, I swear to you. It's either, what was I saying before? I don't even know. But all Soulkey has to do right now is mass defend. All you should be thinking about is mass defend. Would I consider throwing down a spine crawler? Yeah, probably put a spine crawler right here, and then your queen inside here. That's absolutely fine. I'd also just get a lot of Zerglings and prep some Banelings and delay my Spire Tech out a little bit. So we're going to see a lot of pressure. The big problem with Leenock is he hasn't really been able to go in and see anything, so he's kind of blind, but you know, a lot of times when you're doing pressure, you don't really care about what your opponent is doing. You just want them to do whatever they see fit, and you're just going to pressure for yourself. Lair actually is going down. Very late, kind of weird. So you need to normally couple this with a third base pretty quickly here in response, because you have to realize your opponent could have gone a pretty fast lair, which of course our opponent did. You can see the problems. By not getting that second gas all too early, doesn't have enough, and when pressure comes, he's forced to make these Banelings. If these Banelings weren't merged, he would have enough. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, he has 50 gas. So if these Banelings weren't merged, he would have enough, but because, you know, He's trying to play it so razor thin with the gas. If there's any pressure, it kind of screws up his build. So what's the point in getting your fast lair if you're not prepping and being able to be a little bit more versatile with the earlier stages? So it does affect him quite a bit. But okay. It's delaying his Spire by, I'm trying to think of how many seconds. Well, let's do that together, actually. So it delays his Spire. He was at 40, so he needs 150 gas. Off of 4 of these, it's going to take him like 15 seconds. So delays it by 15 seconds. That means the lair didn't have to go up for 15 seconds. And that means also that this pressure that came on from our opponent, Leenock, just by pushing out with the Zerglings, he's able to buy 15 seconds on that mute count, on that Spire count, that Spire tech. Something that you guys need to remember, because that's going to allow him to come back a little bit in this tech war. But of course, he is far behind. Both these guys looking like they want to go mutas. So there's a lot of running back and forth with both these guys. They're really trying to find relative timings for each other. Right now, Soulkey, I would say, actually feels slightly ahead still. And he gets another Zergling in. This is perfect. This is what you want to constantly be doing. It looks like Leenock is able to do the same here. And Leenock is not happy when he sees a lair already finished and a Spire already on the way. Now, thankfully for him, the Spire is only like a quarter of the way done. But still, it's not a good position to be in, because now the first trades with the Overlords are going to go in favor of Soulkey. Really bad position for Leenock to be in. Third bases should be contested during all this time. What I like to do in these positions a lot of time too is I'm grouping all of my Overlords. In ZvZ, I do this a lot, where I group all of my Overlords together. So let's say I'm Soulkey in this spot, and I know something like Spire Tech is on the way. I actually have all these Overlords grouped on the map on 0 and 9, and I just press 0, right-click, and then I save a lot of them. Whereas people that don't, they're going to be supply capped a lot of times when I go out and kill these Overlords on the map. Third base, pretty standard here. The advantage Soulkey has is pretty negligible at this point. I shouldn't say it. It's not negligible, but it's not going to be super big, but it is there. The Soulkey is definitely considered a favorite here in this spot, and it should be as soon as you hit 16 and 16 here. Well, he's actually gone to 21 or 22, which is the important number. You want to get 24 actually. A total of 8 more drones so that you can place 2 more extractors. So during all of this mass Zerglings for both these guys, because it really doesn't make sense to get additional drones after this, we want to slowly be incorporating drones here and there. And as soon as this hatchery is half-life, double extractor, and then transfer over 6 more drones. So you can see, because 24 minus 8, it's exactly 16 out of 24, 16 out of 24. We want to make sure we're getting the massive amount of Zerglings that we can. 18 to 11 right now, so both of them are pretty close with that. Spinecrawler on the way. And it's going to be mass contestation for the third bases coming up. If somehow they can micro each other and be able to get their third base up, it's going to be a huge win for whoever eliminates the third base. But honestly, that shouldn't happen. I mean, it's super rare that ever happens. It's just like basic level shit. Like, should really never happen. Leenock is doing a good job, though, at the fact that he has creep spread out. I mean, that's the one advantage of creep spread, that's for sure. Okay, standard micro, nothing too much of value. I mean, constant trades. You want to force out as many banelings as possible, but the mutas are out. And here's where he's going to be able to kind of throw back. Okay, so advantages, disadvantages. Clearly, Leenock needs to GTFO. He's going to lose these 2 banelings, which definitely sucks. But you can see he's being very Zergling heavy, so he doesn't have to worry about losing too many banelings. This is a big problem. You're losing like 100 gas, something like that, because it's 120 gas per minute that you get from each extractor. So 2 of them is 240, and because you don't have it as soon as the hatchery pops up. It takes 30 seconds to wait for this. So 30 seconds, it's basically 120 gas, right? A half a minute So 240 times 0.5, it's going to be 120 gas. So you lose a muta out of this. You might think it's not that much, but it is. Like ZvZ, it's all about relative stuff, right? Mirror matchups, it's all about relative timings, relative counts and stuff like that. If I have more Marines than you have your Marines, I'm going to win. Same thing with mutas. You want every single tiny little advantage that you can get. And obviously losing these 2 banelings, you can consider that half a muta. That's a really good position. Also, you can consider all the banelings that Soulkey went. That's also half muta. So, the 3rd base was a little bit far behind for Soulkey, but just because of his extractors, he's going to be able to be absolutely fine. Love what he's doing here. Hold positioning micro. And you can see Overlords. Rip. Okay. So, a lot of times it's the question, where do we place our mutas? How are we going to attack? And a lot of times people are like, oh, just go out with your mutas, and people are just, reacting. People a lot of times don't have a game plan. The purpose of your mutas are to force out as many spore crawlers, to be active, to stop your opponent from being active on the map. So shit like this doesn't happen without you knowing. Mutas want to be in the center, okay? Think of it in terms of like chess. Our queens want to be in the center. Our knights want to be in the center. Our bishops want to be in the center. Why? Because they cover the most space. They're able to get to areas a lot quicker. They're able to be on the map and be developed. Very, very, very well developed. Mutas that are back and defending can't do anything but defend. And when they attack, it's really obvious that it's coming. So we want to be fighting for this entire center. That's all we want to be fighting for. That's the most important parts. The question is, how are you able to get your mutas over there? And that's going to be with aggression. That's going to be with these Zerglings that you have. I think this is a big mistake that Leenock is just sacking or trading Zerglings here. And a lot of times you're going to be trading them inefficiently. Because what you can do now as Soulkey is do a Zergling attack over here. Do a Zergling muta attack over here. It's going to force out units. Force units to defend over here. You withdraw back. And then you hit over here, force units over here. And then your mutas are going to swing in and go right in the center here as you try to counterattack this top. You're always going to try to have the mutas defend against Zerglings. That's the key thing. That's what you want to have happen. And then from that, you're going to get value with your mutas. The only way to do that, though, is to have map control. The way to have map control is to constantly be counterattacking and putting your opponents in positions where they need to be defending with mutas. Mutas do not belong in defense. They belong in aggressive stances. That's when you're going to get max value out of them and really be able to hurt your opponents. So we're going to see Soulkey. We could have, let's see, 10 to 13. So it's 10 mutas against, a queen, against 13 mutas. Let's say there was another queen here. It doesn't matter if it was 13 mutas against 13 mutas. I'm still giving Soulkey a massive, massive advantage just because of space control. Space control is something that not a lot of people talk about, and it's so freaking important in these cases. He needs a lot of space control to be able to have options, make shit work, have shit being done. Oh my god, is he just going to lose right here? This is like the saddest ZvZ ever. Where are all the Zerglings? Let me ask you, where are all the Zerglings? They died up here. If he had all those Zerglings, this shit will never, ever, 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 ever happen. Because I clear up the bottom with my Zerglings, I place the Zerglings underneath mutas, and they're extra tanking units. You can't tank with no Zerglings here. This is just a really, really unfortunate position for Leenock. And he's just going to GG out of here. Some egregious problems over here. It's going to be, believe it or not, let's pause here. This attack, if he withdrew, Leenock would still be in this game, and he would still be okay. I mean, look at the supplies, 88 to 91. Units tab, 14 to 28. I mean, he has so much, but he loses everything here unnecessarily. It's a really, really silly trade. Actually, here is fine, even. But he continues. He keeps going. And there's no need to. There's really no need to. Because you're giving up the only advantage that you have. You can't really have aggressive banelings, right? It's Zergling and muta for a reason. It's Zergling muta when you're attacking, Zergling baneling muta when you're defending. And a lot of times a spore crawler. And Leenock really botched this in terms of losing his Zerglings in the early game stage, and then obviously not teching nearly as fast enough, and not really prepping for that. He saw the lair, he knew the Spire tech, he's doing all the things that he needs to do. He needs to throw down some spores. I would say not one at each base, because that's too many drones. I'm thinking like one spore here, and then one spore here. Or maybe even one spore here, but one spore here is, I think, more important. Yeah. And then connect your queens. Even though Leenock does have a spending problem, a lot of you can't spend everything, all your larvae. So connect your queens together and group them up right here. That way they can double transfuse each other, and at the same time they can transfuse the mutas that are over here. I mean, this should never, ever, ever happen either. So Leenock made a lot of like trivial mistakes. But those Zerglings are probably one of the most important things. I wish this game could have gone longer, because I would have loved for everybody to see how just Zergling meter being aggressive on the field is so much more important than actually your count. The counts are always going to be relatively even. But if I can constantly, pick off a drone here, pick off a drone here with just a couple of Zerglings and stuff like that, I'm going to have the advantage. And then Muta swooping in the center of rallies is probably the most annoying thing that you could do. Because let's say there's a Zergling attack. 20 Zerglings are over here. Mutas swing over. If my Mutas are just parked here, attacking this extractor, killing some Overlords, I'm also going to get Mutas popping out of this that are moving over, and then they're going to be picked up. These are like really, really simple little things that you can do to take advantage of your opponent. Anyway, I hope that helped, guys. That's my ZvZ for you. As always, well, there's going to be more videos. I hope you guys like this. If you like it, tell me in the comments below. Tell me if you guys like these replay stuff, or should I just go back to doing like the general theory stuff. I'm not gonna just do these from now on, but because I'm not really capable of streaming all too much well, this week it's March 11th right now. Because I'm not going to be able to stream all too much, I'm doing this kind of stuff. So, hope you guys like it. As always, do what you love what you do. I'll catch you guys next time.